right, we are at Wyoming East High School. As you can see, we're going to talk a little football here, and just kind of tell me how the when I talked to you in the summer, you had some pretty positive things going on. How's the fall camp been going so far?
Well, that's been going pretty good. We're trying to get on that upward trajectory. I would say that this year's team, it's quite possibly going to be the youngest team in Wyoming East football history. We're going to have one senior, but these young guys that have played a lot of football, they're going to start to show their experience, show their age.
Right.
I'm proud of how hard they've worked, especially up front on their line. They're going to look a lot different, on the line of scrimmage this year.
And really, that's kind of the thing that, as we were taking pictures, that's the one thing that really struck me, and I kind of mentioned to you, is like, you've got some size on that line this year, and that's a big thing, and something you've not really had.
Yeah, so, I kind of like to do a little bit of get a few metrics and things like that on each year's team. Last year, our average lineman was about 210 pounds. Depending on what type of player they are, you may be getting by with that. But
Right.
most of the time, that's on the small side.
Right.
We didn't play anybody who had a smaller line across the board than that. This year, we're pushing that 250-pound mark. That's a big jump.
That is a big jump, yeah. And I know when we talked in the summer, you feel like with that line that, this year you should be able to run the football pretty effectively.
Yeah, physics comes into play. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what we hope to do. We hope to be able to run get some power run game going, be able to sustain drives, run the clock, and hit shots where we can.
And really, especially with kind of a youth at quarterback, that's kind of a really good thing, because that takes a lot of pressure off the young quarterback, and like you say, can kind of sustain drives and put the other team in a little bit of a bind with less opportunities.
Right. So if we are playing a young guy at quarterback, whoever it is, they're going to be inexperienced.
Right.
That only helps them.
Right.
Run game is quarterback friendly.
Right.
If that guy can step in and facilitate the offense, that's all we'll need. Make the plays you need to make. And
Right.
Move on.
Who do you kind of looking at quarterback? I know it's not a done deal, and you still got some guys kind of vying for that position. Who are we looking at as possible quarterbacks?
We're looking at Cruz Cooper, Michael Smith. Michael played at Sun Forest last year, but he's also a very good fullback and receiver. He can play multiple positions very well.
Right.
Runs the ball very hard. Cruz Cooper, he's a freshman, but he's played quarterback.
Kind of a more prototypical quarterback, right?
Right. He's played it all his life.
Right.
And, out of him in practice, I can see he doesn't make mistakes, even as a freshman.
Right.
That's something that I haven't really seen yet as a true quarterback come up into the program.
Right. Yeah.
We've been making quarterbacks, you know what I mean?
Right. You talked about Mike and probably run the football a little bit for you. Who else are you going to have running the football?
We'll be running Grayson Ashley, Gavin Clay, of course Mike, and like I said, and there's going to be a few other guys that are going to be getting carries,
Right.
As we go.
Do you have a group with your group up front, the offensive line? Do you have some guys that's like, okay, probably they're going to be starters for us? I don't know. Are you completely set yet on the offensive line?
No, we're not completely set yet. Guys are still competing for spots.
Okay.
Of course, like I said, we've got a lot more size, experience, strength. They had a good off season. But, when the pads come on, things change. We find out who wants to play, and that'll be the starting five.
Do you feel like that's going to make you a little deeper, too? The fact that you do have that kind of competition going?
Oh, yeah, certainly. All these guys want to play. They're, the work they've put into it shows that it proves that they want to play.
Right.
Competition is critical if you want to build a sustainable football program.
Right.
Players have to compete amongst themselves.
Right.
If someone can show up and say, "Hey, I'm going to start," and that's it. They're less likely to give their best, if you know what I'm saying.
Right, exactly. Yeah, kind of know when they're in a solid position, it's nothing by pushing them, it hurts. So, yeah. Defensively, what do you feel like defensively? You like you say, you have some big guys up front. That should be some run stoppers for you a little bit. What do you think about your defense?
Right. this year we need to attack more on defense. One thing that I noticed, at our progression, we gave up many fewer explosive runs.
Right.
Okay, we got beat deep in some situations last year, mostly fades, getting bombed over top.
Right.
So we put a lot of work into taking those away.
Okay.
Interior has to be better. We had a few games that we just got, beat
Right.
in the middle of our defense on the line of scrimmage. Our guys were being moved downfield, and that's not a good recipe.
Right. I know it's always a fun thing. I kind of did a story on the golden shovel. I mean, I love that tradition, and the other side of the county's kind of had your number a little bit, the last little bit. What kind of emphasis do you have to, or do you have to put any emphasis on that game? I mean, I guess the kids are probably pretty fired up to play that game.
Oh yeah, they're fired up, really fired up. They know what it means. We talk about that. We talk about the importance of that game, and it's got to be a good showing for
Right.
us. It's very special. I got to play in it 4 times.
Okay.
It means a lot. To the whole county.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
can see it's packed place whenever we play.
That's what I think it's all actually good to play it early because usually the weather's good, and you get a big crowd, and that's always makes it even more fun.
Yeah. Everybody's really amped up, excited for the whole season. And
Exactly.
on top of that, you get to fight it out down here in Wyoming County.
That's right. All right, Coach. We appreciate it.